The shimmer above the Atacama Desert's cracked earth caught Dr. Jasmine Rhodes's attention through her drone's camera feed. At first, she dismissed it as another heat mirage, but the peculiar blue tinge made her pause. She adjusted the drone's thermal imaging sensors, and the readings made her heart skip a beat. "Base, this is Rhodes. I'm picking up an anomalous heat signature in Sector 7. Permission to investigate." She watched the rippling air with growing fascination, her years of xenobiological research screaming that this was different. "Negative, Dr. Rhodes. Satellite shows an incoming sandstorm. Return to base immediately." Director Marcus Walsh's voice crackled through her comm system. Jasmine bit her lip, watching the strange distortion grow more pronounced. "With respect, Director, this reading matches nothing in our database. We can't risk losing it." Without waiting for a response, she guided her reinforced vehicle toward the anomaly, ignoring the static-filled protests from her radio. The closer she got, the more her instruments went haywire. The electromagnetic interference nearly disabled her vehicle's systems, but she pressed on, guided by scientific curiosity and an inexplicable feeling that this moment would change everything. Then she saw it. Half buried in the sand lay a vessel of impossible design. Its surface rippled like liquid mercury, yet maintained a solid form. The ship wasn't large, perhaps the size of a small passenger plane, but its presence screamed of technology far beyond human understanding. Jasmine approached cautiously, her handheld scanner recording everything. The vessel's hull bore damage along one side, revealing glimpses of crystalline structures within. As she drew closer, a section of the hull suddenly shifted, forming an opening. A figure emerged, stumbling onto the sand. Jasmine froze. The being before her stood upright like a human, but possessed a form that defied conventional biology. Its body seemed composed of living crystal, with patterns of light flowing beneath a translucent surface. Where it touched the ground, tiny crystals sprouted from the sand, spreading in a delicate lattice. The alien, there was no other word for it, turned toward her. Instead of eyes, it had faceted geometric patterns that shifted and realigned, focusing on her with unmistakable intelligence. It made a sound like wind through crystal chimes, then collapsed. Without thinking, Jasmine rushed forward. Her medical training kicked in, though she had no idea if human medical knowledge would help this creature. As she reached the alien's side, its hand shot out, grabbing her wrist. The touch sent electricity through her body, and suddenly her mind exploded with images. A distant star system, a desperate flight, pursuers that devoured light itself. She understood somehow that this being, this refugee, had crossed galaxies seeking help. The alien released her, its crystalline form flickering weakly. Through their brief contact, Jasmine had learned its name, Vexra. She had also glimpsed something that chilled her. The things chasing Vexra weren't just coming for the alien. They were coming for Earth. The sound of approaching vehicles snapped Jasmine back to reality. The base had obviously tracked her location, and now she could see the dust clouds of the approaching security team. She had minutes, maybe seconds, to make a decision that would affect not just her life, but potentially the fate of two species. "I'm going to help you," she told Vexra, not sure if the alien could understand her words, but hoping the sentiment would carry through. "But you need to trust me." Vexra's crystalline form pulsed once, a soft blue light that seemed to express acknowledgement. As the security vehicles approached, Jasmine positioned herself between them and the alien, knowing that humanity's first contact with an extraterrestrial species would be defined by what happened in the next few moments. The sandstorm was visible on the horizon now, a wall of orange dust approaching like a tidal wave. But Jasmine stood her ground, determined to protect this mysterious visitor who had chosen Earth, chosen her, in its moment of desperate need. The security team's vehicles surrounded them, and Director Walsh stepped out, his face a mask of disbelief as he took in the scene before him. "Dr. Rhodes," he said slowly, "please tell me you have a very good explanation for this." Jasmine looked at Vexra, then back at the director. "Sir," she said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "I believe I just made first contact. And if what I've learned is correct, we don't have much time before others follow." The research facility's containment chamber hummed with energy as Dr. Jasmine Rhodes studied the readings on her tablet. 3 days had passed since the desert encounter, and Vexra's crystalline form now floated in a specially designed suspension field, pulsing with internal light that painted the sterile walls in shifting patterns. Director Walsh paced behind her, his reflection bouncing off the reinforced observation window. "The military wants answers. Dr. Rhodes, half the world's governments are breathing down our necks. If we can't establish meaningful communication soon, they'll take over." Jasmine nodded, not taking her eyes off Vexra. The brief mental connection they'd shared in the desert had given her fragments, emotions, images, warnings, but not the structured communication they desperately needed. She pressed her hand against the window, watching as Vexra's geometric eyes tracked the movement. "Dr. Rhodes," a soft voice called from the doorway. Dr. Priya Patel, the team's quantum physicist, entered with a new set of scans. "You need to see this. The crystalline structure of our visitor. It's not just biological. It's a quantum communication matrix." Jasmine's heart raced as she studied the new data. The patterns flowing through Vexra's form weren't random. They were quantum states in constant flux. "It's not that we can't communicate," she breathed. "We've been trying on the wrong level entirely." She turned to Director Walsh. "I need quantum computing resources, all of them. And I need them patched directly into the containment chamber systems." Walsh hesitated. "The security risks are nothing compared to what's coming if we don't understand what Vexra is trying to tell us," Jasmine interrupted. The memory of those light-devouring pursuers flashed through her mind. Hours later, the chamber had been transformed. Quantum processors lined the walls, their cooling systems creating a low hum that seemed to resonate with Vexra's crystalline form. Dr. Patel made the final adjustments to their hastily constructed interface, while Jasmine prepared herself for what came next. "The quantum field is stable," Priya reported. "But Jasmine, we have no idea what direct neural interface with an alien consciousness might do to your mind." Jasmine secured the neural link headset. "We're out of options and time." She looked at Walsh. "If something goes wrong, disconnect me after 30 seconds. No matter what." She activated the interface. The world dissolved into crystalline fractals of pure information. Jasmine felt her consciousness expand, connecting with Vexra's in a dance of quantum possibilities. Images, concepts, and emotions flooded through her mind, but this time they came with structure, with meaning. Vexra's species, the Lumini, had evolved beyond physical form into beings of pure quantum energy, their bodies grown from living crystal that could maintain their complex consciousness. They had watched humanity for centuries, recognizing in Earth's species a crucial evolutionary fork, the same point where their own development had diverged. But they weren't alone in the cosmos. The Void Eaters, as Vexra's people called them, were ancient beings that fed on quantum possibilities themselves, consuming the very potential for life and growth. They had sensed something in humanity, a unique quantum signature that suggested unlimited potential for evolution. Through their connection, Jasmine felt Vexra's desperation. The Void Eaters weren't just pursuing one alien refugee. They were coming to consume humanity's quantum potential before it could fully develop. Earth had weeks, maybe days, before they arrived. The neural interface sparked with overload warnings. Jasmine pushed deeper into the connection, determined to understand everything she could. Vexra's consciousness embraced hers, sharing not just information but understanding. The Lumini had seeded Earth's early development, embedding quantum processors in the planet's crust, a defense system that had lain dormant for millions of years. Vexra had come not just as a refugee, but as a key capable of awakening these ancient protections. But activation required both Lumini and human consciousness working in harmony. Jasmine gasped as the interface shut down, the 30-second limit reached. She found herself on her knees, supported by Priya, while Walsh watched with concern. But her mind was racing with possibilities. "Director," she said, her voice hoarse but urgent, "I know what we need to do." She stood shakily, her eyes meeting Vexra's geometric gaze through the containment field. "But you're not going to like it. We need to let Vexra out and get to the quantum processor sites. All of them. Simultaneously." Walsh's expression hardened. "That's impossible. The logistics alone." "The military has the resources," Jasmine pressed. "And the Void Eaters don't care about our political boundaries. Either humanity works together on this, or we all fall together." Through the quantum interface, a new level of understanding had formed between human and Lumini. Jasmine could still feel echoes of Vexra's consciousness, a crystalline clarity that showed her both the threat they faced and the incredible potential that lay within humanity's grasp. As if sensing her thoughts, Vexra's form pulsed with patterns that now held clear meaning. Trust, determination, and hope. The crystalline being had crossed galaxies not just to save itself, but to help humanity take its next evolutionary step, if they could act in time. Walsh studied them both for a long moment, then pulled out his phone. "Get me the Secretary of Defense. Priority Alpha." He looked at Jasmine. "I hope you know what you're doing, Dr. Rhodes, because if you're wrong, you've just given me the shortest retirement notice in history." Jasmine watched as Vexra's patterns shifted to display what she now recognized as anticipation. They had broken through the communication barrier just in time to face an even greater challenge. Convincing the governments of Earth to unite against a threat they couldn't see, guided by an alien they barely understood. But as she felt the lingering resonance of their quantum connection, Jasmine knew they had no choice. The barrier between human and Lumini had been broken, and now they had to break the barriers between nations before the Void Eaters arrived to break everything else. The Global Command Center, hastily assembled within the research facility, buzzed with tension as satellite feeds displayed an approaching anomaly. Dr. Jasmine Rhodes watched the darkness spreading across the stars, systematically extinguishing them from view. The Void Eaters were no longer a distant threat. They were arriving. "The quantum processor sites are reporting ready," Dr. Priya Patel announced, her fingers flying across multiple holographic displays. "Teams are in position at all 7 locations: Atacama, Siberia, Mariana Trench, Australian Outback, Sahara, Antarctic, and a Greenland ice sheet." Vexra stood beside Jasmine, the alien's crystalline form reflecting the emergency lights. Through their enhanced quantum connection, Jasmine felt waves of complex emotion from her alien companion. Determination tinged with something darker. Something like guilt. "There's something you haven't told us," Jasmine said quietly, turning to face Vexra. The geometric patterns in the alien's eyes shifted, confirming her suspicion. The quantum interface they'd developed hummed to life as Vexra initiated communication. But this time, the images that filled Jasmine's mind were different. Darker, more ancient. She saw the true origin of the Void Eaters, and her blood ran cold. "Director Walsh," she called out, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "We need to adjust our strategy. The Void Eaters, they're not what we thought." Through their mental link, the truth had become clear. The Void Eaters were not natural predators, but the result of a catastrophic experiment by the Lumini's own ancestors. In their quest to transcend physical form, they had created beings of pure quantum entropy. The experiment had worked too well, transforming the test subjects into creatures that fed on quantum potential itself. The Void Eaters weren't hunting humanity out of malice. They were desperately seeking a way to reverse their transformation. Human DNA contained unique properties that could potentially restore their original form. But the process would consume humanity's entire quantum potential, destroying Earth's future to reclaim their past. "Why didn't you tell us this before?" Jasmine asked Vexra, hurt and understanding mooring in her chest. The alien's response came as a mixture of images and emotions: fear, shame, and desperate hope. The Lumini had been trying to protect humanity, guiding their evolution while searching for a way to help their transformed brethren. But time had run out. Dr. Rhodes. Lieutenant Commander Jessica Harris's voice cut through the tension. Multiple quantum anomalies detected. They're not just approaching Earth, they're surrounding it. The main screen showed a web of darkness forming around the planet, methodically cutting off escape routes and communication channels. The Void Eaters were implementing a strategy they'd clearly used before. The Antarctic team is reporting intense quantum fluctuations, Priya announced. The ancient processors are reacting to the Void Eaters' presence. Through their link, Jasmine felt Vexra's revelation. The ancient defense network wasn't just a shield, it was a transformation engine. The Lumini had built it not just to protect humanity, but to help them take the next evolutionary step, becoming beings capable of restoring the Void Eaters without being consumed. But the process was dangerous. If it failed, it would destroy both humanity and the Void Eaters. If it succeeded, humanity would be forever changed. The choice had to be made now, before the Void Eaters' quantum web closed completely. Director, Jasmine said, turning to Walsh. The activation sequence we planned, it won't just protect Earth, it's going to change us. All of us. Vexra's people built the network to help humanity evolve into something that could save both species, but they couldn't implement it without human consciousness to guide the transformation. Walsh's weathered face showed the weight of the decision. And if we don't, the Void Eaters will strip Earth's quantum potential anyway, leaving us evolutionary dead ends. We'll survive, but we'll never advance beyond our current state. The satellite feeds showed the darkness continuing to spread. Cities around the world reported strange phenomena as the Void Eaters' influence began affecting Earth's quantum field. Time was running out. Even if we agree, Priya interjected, the power requirements for a global transformation are beyond our current capabilities. Vexra stepped forward, crystalline form glowing with intense purpose. Through their connection, Jasmine understood what the alien was offering. The Lumini's crystalline form could channel and amplify the quantum energies, but the process would consume them completely. No, Jasmine protested, grabbing Vexra's arm. There has to be another way. The alien's response filled her mind with warmth and certainty. This was why Vexra had come to Earth, not just to warn humanity, but to serve as a bridge between what humanity was and what it could become. The guilt she'd sensed earlier wasn't about hiding the truth. It was about knowing that this sacrifice had always been necessary. Director Walsh, Lieutenant Commander Harris called out, "The quantum web is at 60% closure. We need a decision now." Walsh looked at Jasmine, then at Vexra, understanding passing between them. "Do it," he ordered. "Alert all teams to begin the activation sequence." As alerts went out to the teams positioned around the world, Jasmine held onto Vexra's crystalline hand. The alien's form was already beginning to pulse with building energy, preparing for what was to come. Through their connection, she felt not fear but anticipation, and a deep, abiding love for the potential that existed within humanity. Around them, the ancient quantum processors began to awaken, responding to the approaching darkness with a light of their own. The hidden dangers had been revealed, but with them came an opportunity for transformation that would affect not just humanity, but the very beings that sought to consume them. The only question was, would they complete the change before the Void Eaters' web closed completely? The global command center shook as the ancient quantum processors surged with power. Dr. Jasmine Rhodes watched the energy readings spike across all 7 sites, their combined output exceeding anything humanity had ever measured. Beside her, Vexra's crystalline form pulsed with increasing intensity, channels of light flowing through the alien structure like rivers of pure energy. Quantum web at 80% closure, Lieutenant Commander Harris reported, her voice tight with tension. The Void Eaters are accelerating their approach. They know what we're attempting. Through their mental link, Jasmine felt Vexra's consciousness expanding, reaching out to interface with the ancient network. The aliens' thoughts carried a bittersweet mixture of purpose and farewell. There would be no going back from what came next. Dr. Patel, Jasmine called out, start the synchronization sequence. Channel everything through the primary node in Antarctica. She turned to Director Walsh. And sir, you might want to alert global leaders. The next few minutes will rewrite human history. Walsh nodded grimly, already on his secure line. Around the world, teams positioned at each quantum processor site reported similar phenomena. Crystalline structures growing from the ancient machines, reaching toward the sky like frozen lightning. The first wave of transformation energy rolled out from the Antarctic node. Jasmine gasped as she felt it pass through her, every cell in her body resonating with quantum potential. Through the facility's windows, she watched the effect spread across the desert landscape, leaving subtle changes in its wake. Plants shimmered with new colors that hadn't existed before, and the very air seemed to vibrate with possibility. Energy signature from the Void Eaters changing, Priya announced, studying her readings with wide eyes. They're responding to the transformation wave. But something's wrong. The quantum harmonics are out of phase. Vexra's form suddenly intensified, geometric patterns shifting rapidly. Through their connection, Jasmine understood the problem. The transformation energy needed perfect synchronization between human consciousness and Lumini quantum structures. Without it, the process would tear both species apart at the quantum level. We need to stabilize the harmonic resonance, Jasmine said, moving toward the central interface. Vexra and I can serve as a bridge, but we'll need more power. The facility's reactors are already at maximum, Harris protested. Any more, and they'll go critical. Director Walsh stepped forward, his face set with determination. What about the quantum energy from the Void Eaters themselves? Could we use their own power against them? Vexra's form brightened at the suggestion, and through their link, Jasmine saw the possibility. The Void Eaters' quantum web wasn't just a trap. It was a network of pure quantum energy, exactly what they needed to power the transformation. Priya, reconfigure the processors to draw energy from the quantum web, Jasmine ordered. Harris, have all teams prepare for emergency power extraction. She turned to Vexra, whose crystalline structure was now almost too bright to look at directly. Are you ready? The alien's response came not in words but in pure emotion, resolve, courage, and something deeper, a love for humanity's potential that transcended species. Vexra had crossed galaxies not just to save Earth, but to help birth something entirely new. They initiated the sequence. The quantum processors pulsed in unison, their energy patterns reaching up to touch the Void Eaters' web. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, like a dam breaking, power flooded down through the ancient network. The Void Eaters reacted immediately, their darkness coalescing into massive forms above each processor site. But instead of attacking, they paused, sensing something in the energy pattern that called to their original nature. Through their enhanced connection, Jasmine and Vexra began guiding the transformation. The quantum energy flowed through them, reshaping reality at its most fundamental level. Humans around the world reported strange sensations as their consciousness expanded, touching levels of reality they had never known existed. The Void Eaters, drawn by the resonance of their original form encoded in human DNA, began to descend. But now they came not as consumers but as participants in the change. Their darkness met the light of transformation, and something miraculous happened. The quantum signatures are synchronizing, Priya announced in awe. The Void Eaters, they're not fighting it anymore. They're joining it. Jasmine felt Vexra's joy as their plan succeeded. The transformation wasn't just changing humanity. It was restoring the Void Eaters to their original form. But the power required was immense, and Vexra's crystalline structure was beginning to fracture under the strain. No, Jasmine protested, feeling her friend's life force beginning to fade. There has to be another way. Vexra's response came with perfect clarity. This was always the path. The Lumini's gift to humanity wasn't just protection or evolution, it was unity. By sacrificing to bridge the gap between species, Vexra would live on in the new consciousness being born. The quantum web above Earth began to shine, transformed from a trap into a cradle of rebirth. The Void Eaters, no longer beings of pure entropy, merged with the network. Their ancient knowledge and power joined with humanity's potential and the Lumini's guidance, creating something that had never existed before. As Vexra's physical form began to dissolve into pure quantum energy, Jasmine felt their consciousness merge one final time. In that moment, she saw the future they were creating. A humanity transformed, neither purely physical nor purely energy, but a perfect balance between all states of being. They would be guardians of life's potential, helping other species navigate their own evolutionary paths. The light of transformation reached its peak, and Vexra's form erupted into a cascade of crystalline energy that merged with the quantum network. The sacrifice was complete, but it wasn't an ending. It was a beginning. Around the world, humanity took its first steps into a new era of existence. The Void Eaters, restored to their original nature, became teachers and allies. And somewhere in the quantum web that now sparkled around Earth like a second atmosphere, Vexra's consciousness lived on, watching over the species that had become something greater than anyone had imagined possible. 3 months after the Great Transformation, Dr. Jasmine Rhodes stood at the newly constructed Quantum Observatory in Antarctica, watching the aurora of consciousness dance across the sky. The transformed quantum web now shimmered permanently around Earth, a constant reminder of how much had changed and what had been sacrificed to achieve it. The latest readings from the Sydney node are fascinating, Dr. Priya Patel said, approaching with a holographic display hovering above her palm, a feat that would have seemed impossible before the transformation. The quantum resonance patterns are evolving. We're not just adapting to these new abilities, we're developing them further. Jasmine nodded, feeling the subtle pulse of global consciousness at the edge of her awareness. Humanity had emerged from the transformation with abilities that straddled the line between physical and quantum existence. They could share thoughts across vast distances, manipulate energy at the subatomic level, and perceive layers of reality that had always existed just beyond their previous understanding. Director Walsh is ready for your presentation, Priya added softly, knowing how these quarterly reviews affected her friend. Every time Jasmine had to explain humanity's progress to the Global Council, she felt Vexra's absence more keenly. The conference room represented the new face of human civilization. Physical attendees sat alongside quantum projections of those who chose to attend in energy form. The formerly dreaded Void Eaters, now restored to their original name, the Lumara, served as advisors, their presence felt as waves of wisdom and understanding rather than seen. Dr. Rhodes, Walsh began, his own consciousness radiating calm authority. Please update us on Project Legacy. Jasmine stood, summoning a quantum display that filled the room with interactive data. The integration continues to exceed expectations, she reported. 97% of the human population has successfully adapted to the transformation. The remaining 3% are still transitioning, but with help from our Lumara advisors, we expect full integration within 6 months. She gestured, and the display shifted to show Earth's new quantum defense network. The ancient processors have fully merged with our modern technology, creating a seamless system that protects not just against physical threats, but quantum and dimensional incursions as well. And what of the consciousness imprint? One of the Lumara asked, their thoughts carrying the weight of centuries. The one left by the Lumini delegate. Jasmine's heart tightened. Though Vexra's physical form had dissolved during the transformation, traces of her consciousness remained woven through the quantum web. Like echoes of starlight, they continue to guide and influence humanity's development. We've managed to preserve and integrate approximately 60% of Vexra's quantum signature into the network, Jasmine answered. Her knowledge and experience continue to help us understand our new capabilities. More importantly, her sacrifice serves as a constant reminder of the responsibility that comes with these powers. The room filled with murmurs of agreement, both voiced and quantum. Humanity had gained incredible abilities, but they had also inherited the Lumini's role as guardians of evolution. Already, they had detected other civilizations approaching similar quantum crossroads, species that would soon need guidance to navigate their own transformations. There's something else, Jasmine continued, bringing up a new display. We've detected quantum signatures at the edge of our solar system. They match the patterns of dormant processor sites on other planets. The network Vexera helped us activate. It's not just planetary, it's interstellar. The revelation sent ripples of excitement through the assembled consciousness. Walsh leaned forward, his mind radiating intense focus. Are you suggesting what I think you're suggesting, Dr. Rhodes? Yes, Jasmine confirmed. We're ready to take our next step into the cosmos, not as conquerors or mere explorers, but as guardians. Thanks to Vexera's sacrifice and Illumara's guidance, we can help other species navigate their own quantum awakening. She turned to look out at the quantum aurora, feeling the subtle resonance of Vexera's consciousness within it. When Vexera crashed in the desert that day, she didn't just save humanity from consumption by the Void Eaters. She gave us purpose. She showed us what we could become. The Lumara representatives pulsed with approval. The cycle continues. They communicated. As we were guided, so shall you guide others. Outside, the quantum web rippled with new energy as humanity's first interstellar vessels prepared for launch. They were ships unlike anything ever built before, crafted from a fusion of physical and quantum technology. Their mission was not to conquer or colonize, but to seek out emerging civilizations approaching their own quantum thresholds. Jasmine touched the crystalline pendant she wore, a fragment of Vexera's original form that still resonated with her friend's consciousness. Through it, she felt an echo of the joy and pride her alien friend would have experienced seeing humanity step into its new role. We're ready, she announced to the council, ready to become what Vexera knew we could be. Bridges between states of existence, guardians of evolution, and guides for species standing at the threshold of transformation. As if in response, the quantum aurora flared brilliantly, casting light in spectrums that the old humanity could never have perceived. In that light, Jasmine saw not just humanity's future, but the future of all conscious life in the cosmos, species helping species, consciousness guiding consciousness, all growing together towards something greater than any could achieve alone. The legacy of Vexera's sacrifice would light the way forward, not just for humanity, but for all species ready to take their next evolutionary step. And in the quantum web that now connected it all, her consciousness would continue to guide them, a testament to the power of trust, sacrifice, and the boundless potential that lay within every species brave enough to reach for the stars.